Right, and I think we are live. Hello, it is, we're continuing the tier list thing that was only supposed to be one live stream, but ended up being, is probably going to end up being 3 live streams. So, yeah, today I'm going to be doing, I tried to the best of my ability to find a tier maker list that actually had a big chunk, if not all, the Nickelodeon shows. Because on tier maker, it's a lot easier to find Cartoon Network lists than like full Nickelodeon lists, because every Nickelodeon list I found was either missing a lot of shows or was missing like very specific shows. And this, as far as I can tell, is like the most comprehensive of the Nickelodeon listings that I could find. So yeah, we're just gonna go off of this, and hopefully we can do maybe a couple bracket fights, because I don't want to do the Disney tier list just in case this ends up dragging out to almost 2 hours like last time. So yeah, let's just get started. Now, like I said yesterday with the Cartoon Network tier maker, this is, the rankings are not going to be in order of what I prefer. It's just going to be, I think this is a B. I think this is a C. I'm not going to do things like this where I think like, oh, Pete and Pete is better than all these. No, I'm just going to be going off explicitly how much I like the show rather than what I consider the best B ranked Nickelodeon show, the best C ranked. Like, yeah, no, because one, that's going to take way too long, and that's going to annoy me because I'm going to have to really, really think, especially with some shows I might not remember as well as shows I've watched more recently. So, yeah, let's just get this started with, let's see. There might be other people coming in, like, because I have this open in my server, so there might be 1 or 2 people that show up during this stream. I don't know, but let's just see how this turns out. First we have 100 Deeds of Eddie McDowd, which I remember, but I don't think I watched. Like, I have memories of the show, but it either was nearing the end of syndication when I was like 4 or 5, or it had maybe just ended syndication running. Like, I only have vague flashes of memory of Eddie McDowd. Aerial Monsters, I was actually not allowed to watch as a kid. That was one of several shows I wasn't really allowed to watch. And I remember, because me and Steph were talking about this yesterday in the Cartoon Network stream. We had a couple nights several years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, where we had gone back to a lot of shows that either we hadn't watched as kids or we like never watched, period. And I remember Aerial Monsters was one of them, and it was fine. Like, it I'd say it's a very low C. Personally, it's not great. I mean, maybe it got better as it went, but I think we watched like 2 or 3 episodes, and it really didn't connect with me that much when I was watching it. Like, I think the design work is great. I think in terms of Klasky Csupo's stuff, I think that's one of the best looking shows they made, because I think their weird kind of gross character aesthetic works well for the concept of a world of monsters. But other than that, I think like it's just not that engaging of a show, nor did I really think it was that funny. Adventures of Pete and Pete, I had not watched until a couple years ago, because I actually bought one of the DVDs and I sat down and watched it. It's very good. It holds up very, very well. It's especially for one of the first of the Nickelodeon original live action series. I'd say it's probably one of the funniest of the early era. I'd say especially comparative to a couple of the other shows I watched from that period of time. Kid Danger, I never watched, nor did I watch the animated show. That's gonna kind of be the problem with this one, is that Nickelodeon is a company where, to a point, I didn't really pay attention to them anymore. And also, a lot of the live action content on Nickelodeon I never really cared for, even as a kid. There are a few live action shows I did watch, but for the most part, I have a feeling a lot of the live action shows on here I'm probably going to put in the didn't watch, or even don't know category. All Grown Up, F. I hate All Grown Up. Like, Rugrats to me is something that already doesn't hold up that great, personally. Like, it's not the worst thing ever, but to me personally, Rugrats is just something where it just kind of annoys me more than anything. Like, again, it's not bad, but All Grown Up, I remember as a kid when that special premiered, the pilot, the backdoor pilot to the All Grown Up show, basically. I remember when that aired, even as a kid, I didn't really like it. There was just something about it that felt really off to me, because I think as a kid, you don't really, because you think everything is great when you're a kid. Like, everything you watch, even if it's not that good, you're just like, it's okay at worst. All Grown Up was like one of the first things I distinctly remember watching as a kid and just going like, I didn't like that. Like, it was the first time I'd really articulated, like, that wasn't very good. And I remember when All Grown Up actually premiered, like the show itself, I was thinking like, oh, well, maybe it'll be better now that it's a show. I remember any time I watched it, I hated it. Like, I thought it was the most obnoxious, boring show. Like, it felt like a really like one of the more annoying live action shows from Nickelodeon. Like, I don't know, there was something about it that really, really bothered me. I don't know if it was the characterizations or if it was just a lot of the setups to episodes that annoyed me. Like, I don't know. It's just a show that I've never, ever connected with. And honestly, as an adult, even now, I still really don't like it. I actually watched the original pilot for the show last year because I was thinking, well, I haven't watched this in literal decades. So maybe as an adult, maybe I'll get into it. Maybe there's something that I'll actually like about it. I actually think I hated it more as an adult than I did as a kid. Because, God, that pilot is so unlikable. There's so much, like, in terms of the character interactions and just the way that a lot of the character dynamics are handled, that it's just very unlikable and just really mean-spirited to the point. It's just not fun. And that's something I remember distinctly liking. Oh, hi, Dandy.
Hello.
Hi, I'm in the middle of talking about why I think All Grown Up is F tier.
Oh, continue.
Oh, well, I was explaining, I had gone back and rewatched the backdoor pilot last year because I was thinking, oh, maybe now that I'm an adult, maybe I'll like this more, because there were things as a kid I didn't care for because I was like, oh, this is not for me. This is for like a teenager or something like that. Like, I didn't like Zoe 101 as a kid. I probably still wouldn't, because it just doesn't seem like a show I would like. But All Grown Up was something where I was thinking, I don't know. I've known some people that liked it as a like it now still. So I was like, maybe it'll be better as an adult. I think I hated it more as an adult than I did when I saw it as a kid. And I had said earlier, I didn't even like it as a kid. So
I just don't get it. I
get the idea behind it. I think All Grown Up in concept is a decent idea. Is with Rugrats. It's just oh my God, it annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah. It
annoys the shit out of me, and I just do not like how they went on to do a lot of the characterization in that show.
Yeah, I don't remember entirely, like, because like weren't the characters like different? Because like they were teenagers.
Well, yeah, no, I think all of them are. I don't remember if it's early high school or late middle school. That's like the one thing I remember. I think it's middle school. but I don't remember exactly.
It could be middle school.
I think Angelica's high school, and I think the rest of them are in middle school. That's like, I want to say that's right.
Yeah, I feel like the age is like they're around like their 10-year-old age or something like that.
I think Dill is like 9.
I'm just remembering.
I think Dill is 9 and Tommy is like 11, something like that.
Right.
Also, God, I hate fucking Tommy's hair. I hate they gave him his dad's hair. It looks so bad. I hate it.
Yeah, they could have gave like Dee Dee's hair or something.
Well, they gave Dee Dee's hair to Dill. I don't know. There's something about that spiky purple hair on Tommy that I do not like it.
I don't know, Tommy.
Let's see. All That I really like. I think All That still holds up pretty fairly well. I haven't gone back to a lot of it in the last few years, but I remember when they added it to Netflix, I sat down and watched a bit of it, and I think it's still pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I prefer Amanda Show. I think Amanda Show was a lot funnier, but I think All That does still hold up to a degree.
I only watched Amanda Show. I didn't. I don't remember a lot of All That. I don't know if that's the show that introduced Action Now.
No, that was Kablam. Action League Now was Kablam. You're talking about the action figures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
that's all I know.
That was Kablam, which again, All That I think is still a pretty good show. I haven't watched the later years, and I remember as a kid, I didn't like the last couple seasons as much, but All That was one of the few live action shows I actually watched from Nickelodeon when I was little.
Right.
I never watched the CG Alvin and the Chipmunks show, nor do I care.
And I didn't know there was like over 20 seasons.
I didn't know that shit ran like 7 years. Until, like this year, I saw a tweet about it saying, this show ended on this day in 2021. I'm like, that shit ran that long?
We're like Charlie, like, that show was on for 7 years? Like,
yeah, no, I thought that thing ended in, like, 2017. Like, I thought it ended, like, 2017, 2018. I didn't realize that thing ran until, like, 2 years ago.
Come on, Alvin. Oh, God.
Angry Beavers, that's B. I really like Angry Beavers.
Yeah.
I need to go back to, I have the full series on DVD. I need to go back and really sit down and watch a lot of it. Because I've watched a bit of it over the years, but I haven't, like, actually committed to sitting down and watching, like, a season. But I do still really, really like it.
What was the name of the characters? It was, like, Daggett.
Daggett and Norbert. Norbert and Daggett.
I love how Norbert just has a weird way of talking.
Is it Norville? I'm looking it up in another window.
It could be Norville.
I want to say it's Norbert. Yeah, it is Norbert. Norbert and Daggett.
I love how he talks. I love how sometimes he puts a lot of emphasis on things like tasty jalapeno. Like,
tasty jalapeno. Yeah, well, yeah, it's Nick Bakay, the guy who played Salem in Sabrina.
Yeah.
Which is like one of his only other acting credits, I think. He's done a bit of voiceover work, but he's primarily a writer. He wrote fucking Paul Blart Mall Cop, which we're not all perfect.
I mean, it was still funny like for a while, but now I
to say he wrote Paul Blart Mall Cop and The Zookeeper. We're not all perfect. Let's see what's the next one. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I have not watched a lot of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but I have liked it from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I'd have to do a comparison because I like Goosebumps more for the cheese factor, but I think Are You Afraid of the Dark works better as a horror show. Because I actually remember when I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark for the first time a few years ago, there was shit that was actually creepy. And Goosebumps to me has not really ever been that creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Also, very weird actors appear on Are You Afraid of the Dark? I think Gilbert Gottfried was in an episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember. I think it was primarily a Canadian show, but they had a lot of really weird celebrities come on it every so often.
I guess that's how they keep track of everything.
As told by Ginger, I never watched and I never really cared. I know a lot of people say it's apparently one of Klasky Csupo's best shows, but I as a kid I never really cared to watch it. So, Avatar's S. Like, I just rewatched Avatar last year, and yeah, no, I think I've rewatched that show like 4 times in the last like 6 years. That's one of the best. I mean, it's cliche to say, but it is one of the best animated shows ever made. It's kind of one of those shows that has such a reputation, it's almost impossible to really say anything new about it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people who've made analysis videos on that show.
Awesomeness TV, I don't even know what that is. I had said earlier in the stream, there's probably going to be a lot of live action shit that I don't know what it is or I never watched. Because I have not kept up with Nickelodeon outside of some animated stuff the last, like, 8 years. Back at the Barnyard's B. Back at the Barnyard, I think, is a lot better than... Because I remember at the time it came out, a lot of people really didn't like it. Because I think it was also that thing of a lot of people didn't care for the movie, which I think the movie's okay. Like, I don't know. I don't think there's anything in Barnyard that just makes me angry or annoys me. I think it's an okay movie. And I think the show is honestly better than the movie.
Yeah.
Because I think the show was allowed to be a lot more off the wall than the movie was. Though I am still... I've never really fully understood why there are some characters that don't appear in the show that are in the movie. Because I never understood what happened to the main girl in that movie. Because they still have Wanda Sykes' character, but they never explained what happened to the main girl cow. I forgot her name.
I forgot her name too.
I remember as a kid, I thought that the girl in Back at the Barnyard was supposed to be the same character, and I was really weirded out by that because I was wondering why she had a southern accent, and I wondered what happened to her child. So, let's see. Big Time Rush, I never watched. Everybody tells me apparently it's really good, but I never watched it because that was also during that period where I was kind of phasing out of Nickelodeon and honestly TV in general.
Yeah.
Same with Brain Surge, never watched it. And I think some of Brain Surge is lost from what I remember. Breadwinners is D. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I don't know. It's just kind of a generic cartoon to me. There's just not much stand out to it. I could understand the hate that it got, but it didn't really annoy me as much as it did other people. What was it? Bucket and Skinner. Oh my god. I have not thought about Bucket and Skinner since that shit came out. I thought Bucket and Skinner was a TV movie. Bucket and Skinner. Oh, it was a show. Okay, it was a show. I remember this being like a TV movie. Yeah, it was like a sitcom that only ran like 1 year.
Huh.
I never watched it. I just know that it was like... I swear this was like a TV movie. Maybe there was like a pilot movie or something, and I just don't remember the show. Yeah, it ran 1 season over the course of a year. Yeah, no, I didn't watch it. But Ugly Martians, I was not allowed to watch. But I remember the theme song because I remember hearing the theme song. And it's weird because I only ever heard the theme song 1 time as a kid, but I never forgot that theme song. And I remember going back to it like years later because I was going through like old Nickelodeon intros and I was like, is this exactly how I remember it or did I make up lyrics? And it was note for note exactly the same theme. Like I perfectly remembered that theme song even though I never watched an episode of the show. And I don't know, looking at it now, I'd probably hate it so I've never cared to watch it. And because the word ugly is in the title, and man, the CG in that show looks bad. I think it actually predates Jimmy Neutron. Let me check that out.
I think isn't it like one of the first CGI?
It was one of, I think it was one of, if not the first CG Nickelodeon show. Okay, February 2001. I think that does predate Jimmy Neutron. Does it predate the movie? Yeah, the movie came out December of 2001. So yeah, no, that was the first CG show. Bunsen and the Beast is fucking F. I hate that show. I have not seen much of Bunsen as a Beast, but of what I have seen, because I think I've seen like 2 episodes, I remember I'll give it a chance. Maybe Tough Puppy was a fluke. Maybe it was just the one bad thing Butch Hartman made.
Maybe
and then I watched Bunsen as a Beast, and honestly, it's so much worse. It's so much worse than Tough Puppy.
Help.
It doesn't help that the main character has the fucking worst voice I've ever heard in my life. So
I feel like in a way that was like Nickelodeon realizing, yeah, Butch Hartman.
Oh no, I've always had this theory that that's the show that made Nickelodeon realize maybe Butch Hartman isn't worth keeping. Cuz I think it didn't even last more than 1 season. Let me see, but for Butch Hartman is 1 season. For Butch Hartman, that's really bad. Cuz at minimum his shows ran 3 seasons. Yeah, this was the only show Butch Hartman had made that ran only 1 season.
Remember the time they just in Fairly OddParents they just got rid of the bully character and they didn't explain anything
That's
about that?
not the only character. Fairly OddParents, I remember talking to 8-Bit about this. Fairly OddParents is a show that very weirdly got rid of a large chunk of its side characters over time and just never explained why or what happened to a lot of the characters. Like, most of the holiday-themed characters disappeared, like Cupid and those characters. Francis disappeared. The fucking fairy dog disappeared after its introduction season, and they gave no explanation as to what happened to it, even though
they just gave up on the character.
Even though Sparky was built as a new main character, they never explained why he disappeared from the show. Who else? I'm trying to remember who else disappeared. I remember me and 8-Bit had like a long talk about like all the characters that disappeared.
Didn't they get rid of like one of Timmy's friends?
I don't think they got rid of Chester and AJ. I know. Elmer and Sanjay, I think, fully disappeared. Like later into the show, the Boyle kid and the stereotype Indian kid.
Oh my God, no!
I think they both disappeared. I think Trixie Tang disappeared after a while because I know her friend disappeared like long before like the later seasons. Her like blonde crazy friend.
Oh my God, that's.
I don't know if Chet You Betcha disappeared over time. I know Doug Dimmadome did. But also Doug Dimmadome wasn't super recurring, so I don't know. You see, Casagrandes I never watched. CatDog is a B. I actually found out I found out apparently CatDog is considered like one of the weaker Nicktoons to a lot of people, which I just always kind of assumed that was considered like a pretty decently reviewed show. But I remember digging through like what are considered like the worst Nick animated shows, and I saw CatDog on a few lists, and I was kind of surprised because I don't think it's that bad. Like I kind of view it on the same pedestal as Angry Beavers, where I don't know, it's funny, it's weird, it's creative. I like the voice acting in it. I think it's funny. It's not one of the best shows they ever made, but I think it's entertaining. CatScratch, despite the creator, that's a B. CatScratch upsets me because I mean everything Doug TenNapel.
Do I even need to ask?
Everything Doug TenNapel makes upsets me because it has his name attached to it. So,
do I even need to ask like what? Like
do you ever remember hearing any controversies about the guy who made Earthworm Jim?
I've heard he's a terrible person.
He is. He's absolutely insane, and
I
he
don't,
has.
and I don't want to take a guess at what he did.
I'll just say one of many things. He was a giant transphobe.
Okay.
Giant transphobe, and he was against net neutrality for some reason.
Yeah. What? Okay, that's weird.
Oh, there's a giant rabbit hole of awful things Doug TenNapel has done. Like, there's a giant rabbit hole, and I hate that his name is attached to several things that I really like.
Yeah.
And CatScratch is one of them. Oh, CatScratch is another show where I feel like it's another one of the many animated shows post SpongeBob where I feel like if it was given about 2 more seasons, it really could have found a crowd, but now it's just kind of listed as that, hey, remember that one weird show with cats? Which is sad because I think CatScratch is a very charming show. Also, I think one of the best lead casts of like the 3 main actors for a Nick show.
It was a very simple show.
I love
what if cats had $1 million?
Kevin McDonald, Wayne Knight, and Rob Paulson. I love all 3 of those guys as the leads. Like, again, that's probably like one of my favorite like trifecta of characters on a Nickelodeon show. And again, one of those Nick shows that doesn't have a DVD release, which really annoys me because it was only 1 season. So it's not like it would have been hard.
Yeah.
ChalkZone is a C. That was one of those shows like I talked about yesterday where me and some friends had gone back to like years later after having not seen it for a long time. It's fine. It's okay. I don't think it lasted longer than I thought it did. It ran, I think, 5 years, which I only remember it being on for maybe like 2. And I don't know, it's not bad, but when I rewatched it, there wasn't really anything that stuck out all that much to me. I didn't think it was that funny. I didn't think the world was that interesting, even though I feel like that should have been a more creative show given the concept. Like,
yeah,
it just really didn't hook me as much. Again, not bad, just I think okay. It's not something I would ever really go back to outside of the theme song. Clarissa explained.
Rudy, you gotta draw something.
You gotta draw something. You use that chalk.
Use the chalk.
Use that chalk, Rudy. Clarissa explains it all. I haven't watched since I was like 4, so I don't really have an opinion on that. Cousin Skeeter, I remember loving as a kid, but I haven't watched it since I was like 6. So I have to put that in the. Didn't know, don't know, didn't watch, because it's more in the case of I would need to go back and rewatch it to know if I like it. Because a lot of these I still have strong enough memories or have watched them recent enough that I can still get an opinion out of them. Danny Phantom is A. Actually, I'm currently watching Danny Phantom with a couple people. We're just about halfway through season 2. I still really like it. I mean, it's easily the best thing Butch Hartman ever made, even though I honestly think that Butch had a lot less control over that show than he likes to think he did.
Yeah, he didn't really have that much.
He directed it, but it was a lot more Steve Marmel's show than it was Butch Hartman's show, because Steve Marmel did a big chunk of the writing. Steve Marmel did a big chunk of the writing, and I forget. I know the character designs were done by the guy who did Kim Possible. So that's like the other bit, that he's like the other big piece. I think Steven Silvers was his name.
Steven Silver, yeah, he was one of the main character designers, including he also did Kim Possible.
That's what I was saying. Is that he was the guy who did Kim Possible, and I think he actually also did several designs for Fairly OddParents, which explains why Butch can't draw a lot of the Danny Phantom characters.
Let me see. Well, yeah, Butch Hartman can't draw, like, pretty much he can't draw shit, and Steven Silver had to kind of basically clean
Steven Silver basically took a lot of Butch's concepts and made them actually look good. Because anytime I remember those videos of Butch Hartman drawing Danny Phantom characters, I always noticed he really didn't seem to know how the characters were supposed to look, or he like had an idea of how they looked, and he took them in such a direction that it just barely resembled the original character.
Oh yeah, he also worked on Clerks, the animated show.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Silver. Yeah, Steven Silver's designs are very abstract.
I know he didn't do Clone High.
No.
They're very, like, the very angular designs, which is funny because Kim Possible's not really angular, but there is a lot of shape to the character, like, especially in the heads. A lot of the heads have very distinct shapes to them.
There's a lot of contour shapes. It's a lot of, like, long stroke, like sharp edges and curvy, like, edges.
Let's see. Have you ever heard that bullshit theory about cousin Skeeter, where apparently the show got canceled because the puppet got destroyed during the Kids' Choice Awards by getting slimed?
Wait, what show?
Cousin Skeeter. It was a show. It was a live-action sitcom where the main character was a puppet and everyone else was a human. And there was a theory that somebody had come up with saying that, oh, the show got canceled because the puppet got destroyed because they couldn't get the slime out of it at the Kids' Choice Awards. Which, no, that's a bullshit theory, because why the fuck would a sitcom not have more than one puppet? Like, that makes literally no sense from a production standpoint, why they would have only one puppet.
They should have had a spare puppet.
Like, they should have, dude, not even one. They should have like 5. Like,
yeah.
Every show that involves puppets normally has like 5 duplicates of the same puppet. Like,
yeah.
I never watched the Nickelodeon era of Doug, so I can't do that. Drake and Josh is a B. Drake and Josh is another show. I'd say it's a B. I'd say it's a high B. Where I think the first season's kind of rough, but I think it got a lot better with season 2 onward. There are things that do annoy me about it a little bit, or things that haven't aged well. I'd say it's aged a lot better than some of the later Dan Schneider shows, but there are still a few things that annoy me. I kind of view Megan in a very similar way I view Blue from Foster's, where I remember thinking that character was very funny as a kid, and now that I'm an adult, I fucking hate that character with a passion.
Oh, dude, I hated him ever since I watched the show, because he was
Megan.
just the most annoying. Like, Blue was so fucking annoying.
Oh no, Blue
he was always doing the dumbest shit.
I fucking loved Blue as a kid because he was the fucking crazy one, and I thought he was hysterical, and then I became an adult and I fucking hated him. It's the same thing with Megan. I thought Megan was a piece of shit and she was really funny, and now that I'm an adult, I wish she got her fucking comeuppance, and she never does, and it makes me so mad.
I hated the episode where what's his name? The big dude who likes potatoes.
Eduardo.
Fucking Eduardo. There was an episode where he gets like a toy, like they're at the arcade. The toy breaks because of Blue, so they have to go and get a new one at the arcade. But Blue is like, okay, he has the money for it. But the next thing he does is he buys plastic, like, vampire fangs.
Oh, yeah, the glow-in-the-dark vampire
that
tea.
Pissed me off so much. I'm like, Blue, I'm gonna fucking strangle you. Like,
well, I mean, I think it's also the whole thing.
That's the whole point of the conflict.
Well, yeah, no, it's the whole point of the conflict. And, 2, Blue is mentally supposed to be, like, 5, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's mentally supposed to be, like, 4 or 5. Because I think they said Mac had created him when he was like 5, and I think he's 10 in the show. Let's see. I just did a lightning round, and I just put a bunch of the live action shit in the don't know, didn't watch, because I didn't watch fucking any of these. El Tigre, I'll give a B. That's again, it's another one. I think it's really fun. Jorge Gutierrez has like one of my favorite art styles ever. I do need to go back and rewatch a bit of it, because I did really like what I did watch when I rewatched a couple episodes last year. I'm probably going to do that later this year with some friends. Fairly Odd Parents is a mixed bag. I'm going to put it in B because I'm going to put it in B because I think Fairly Odd Parents at its best is really good. At its worst, it's F. Like, but there's something in me where I feel like the highest points of Fairly Odd Parents, I have watched more of the high points of Fairly Odd Parents than I have watched the lowest of lows of Fairly Odd Parents. So I'm going to put it in B just because I have more fond memories of Fairly Odd Parents than negative, even though when I have watched any of the recent Fairly Odd Parents shit, oh my god, it's so bad.
I'm also gonna say this. Channel Chasers should have been the series finale.
Oh, it should have. That Channel Chasers should have been the finale. Honestly, there's a couple specials that should have been the finale.
Yeah, there was like the Fairy Idol, which...
Well, no, that shouldn't have been the finale. That would have been a weird finale. I
thought it was trying to be.
I would say Abracatastrophe could have definitely worked as the series finale because it's the only episode that's like over an hour.
Oh yeah, that's like the cupcake one, right?
Yeah, it's the one where it does feel like 3 episodes split up into different parts because the second half is just about the monkeys taking over the earth, and then the third part is about Crocker taking over the earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Fairly Odd Parents to me is something where, at its best, I think it's a really fun show. At its worst, it's dog shit. But again, I pretty much dropped off, I think, a year after Poof because I fucking hated Poof. So I never experienced a lot of the later shit, though I do remember I did watch the last season? Or at least I watched the first episode of the last season, which I think was the introduction of that Molly girl, because I had just been wondering how fucking bad did this show get? And that premiered on my 20th birthday. So what a fun birthday present to me. And I remember being so angry watching that because I just kept thinking about, man, I remember when this show was fun, and now I am just consistently annoyed watching this the entire time. I distinctly have the duck lips scene still fucking burned in my brain from when I saw that.
Could I say one more thing about Fairly Odd Parents?
What?
I do enjoy Eric Bauza's performance
Foop.
as Evil Poof, at least. Yeah, as Foop.
Who was another character they just kind of abandoned after a while.
Yeah, they just
from
kind
what
of
I
abandoned.
know. I mean, the anti-fairies in general, I know that they abandoned after a while. They abandoned them before they abandoned Foop, which is even weirder to me.
It's like they just were giving up on ideas, and it's just like, okay. It's like, make a new protagonist that's like, oh no, like this.
Because they needed ratings. Like,
yeah.
That's the only reason you introduce a new character, is because you want more viewers. That's like the only reason you make events out of that. Fanboy and Chum Chum, Fanboy and Chum Chum, I'll put in D. I don't think it's like Breadwinners, where I didn't think it was the worst thing ever, but it's not good. And again, like, there are things I do find funny about it in comparison to Breadwinners, but I still don't think it's that great. Harvey Beaks. I mean, it is a bird. Harvey Beaks. I'll put that as B. I really, really need to go back to that show because that's a very, very charming. It's a very charming show.
Yeah.
I'd say, from what I've seen, I think it's the weakest of C.H. Greenblatt's shows, but Harvey Beaks is probably the simplest and the cutest of those shows. It reminds me a lot of shows like Clarence or Craig of the Creek. Mm-hmm. Which, again, I need to go back and watch more of Harvey Beaks because I really, really liked it from what I saw. I mean, it might be teetering on an A if I go back and watch the whole thing. Hey Arnold is an A. Holy shit. Hey Arnold gets better like the older I get, which is not very common for a lot of shows from that period of time.
Remember the Hey Arnold movie where when his parents finally wake up, they say, "Hey Arnold"?
The Jungle movie, I just like everything I've seen Hey Arnold related. I don't even think the first movie's that bad, even though I know a lot of people don't care for it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't,
Like,
Hey
I
Arnold
just
is one
know
of
it
those things
exists.
where there is so much shit that has aged so well, and honestly, I'd say has aged better than when it came out. And also, it's like one of the best casts I've seen in a Nickelodeon show. Like either guest star or main cast. iCarly I'll put in C. Has some very funny parts to it, but I kind of got to a point with iCarly where I started getting annoyed with it, and that was one of the last.
It has its moments.
That was one of the last Nickelodeon shows I think I watched for several years, because I think around like 2009 I just kind of dropped off watching TV for a couple years, and that was kind of a show where I remember it started getting annoying for me after a while.
Yeah. It's like iCarly, Fred, iCarly and Fred.
I remember that's actually how I heard about Fred, was iCarly. I had
Oh, really?
No, I had never heard of Fred. I was barely using YouTube at that time.
Oh my god.
Like, I remember I didn't have a YouTube channel till like March of 2009, and I think it wasn't until like 2008 I started using YouTube, like maybe late 2007. And I never heard of Fred because I didn't really watch like channels. Like I was that cringy ass kid who watched like Lego sketches and Sonic AMVs. That was the thing I watched when I was like 11 on YouTube, like 11 and 12. I didn't watch like channels dedicated to like a personality like Smosh or things like that. So I didn't hear of Fred until iCarly. And that is one of the episodes that has really aged like dog shit, is the Fred episode. Because God, the whole theme of that episode is ridiculously toxic, which iCarly has a lot of in a sense. A lot of episodes that have very, very dated or very toxic subjects to them. Like the whole theme of the Fred episode is Freddy doesn't like Fred. So literally everyone bullies him until he just says he likes Fred. That's the whole fucking episode. Is that everybody loves Fred and thinks he's peak comedy, and because one person doesn't like Fred, it becomes a giant mob of hate towards him until he is forced to like Fred. And I'm like, that's not toxic as shit. Same with the was it the episode where Carly is like dating someone and she finds out he has a stuffed animal collection and she dumps him, and the whole show treats that as justifiable because that she thinks that it's weird for a guy to own stuffed animals or to be to be a geek about things like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next is Zim. S. Zim, again, it's like fucking Avatar. Zim is... I would say Zim is contender for the funniest cartoon ever made, in my opinion. Also has probably one of my favorite art styles ever. It's one of those shows where I do really wish that they were able to go much further with the show, especially when reading about where the show was originally going to end up going if the show had been renewed for like 2 more seasons. Because from what it sounds like, the show was gonna become more story driven, or there was gonna be a season where they had an entire arc off Earth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, and I feel like that show could have honestly been a trendsetter, because that was not being done back then, really. At least heavy story arcs or things like that in children's television for the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Zim is one of the funniest fucking shows ever made, in my opinion. Like, top 5 animated shows to me.
I'm gonna sing the doo-doo song.
Jimmy Neutron is a B. Jimmy, I'd say if you compare Fairly OddParents to Jimmy Neutron, I think Jimmy Neutron is a better show, even though I think Jimmy Neutron does sometimes fall into the same problems that Fairly OddParents has sometimes. which I guess is why they did 3 specials together, which, by the way, the Jimmy Timmy Power Hours do not hold up. They do not hold up. They are so bad.
See, it feels like they're trying to. It feels like the writers from both shows are like having a battle with each other. I'm like,
it's that, and also the problem. The first one is probably my least favorite of the 3 because the first one is just Timmy being a dick the entire episode for like no reason and basically hijacking Jimmy's life.
Yeah, like there's a whole thing where like Cindy has a crush on Timmy.
Cindy has a crush on Timmy, and he pretends to be a genius and basically hijacks Jimmy's life and maroons him in his world while Jimmy pretends to be like a genius in Jimmy's world.
Which is really weird.
It's fucked. Again, Timmy is a fucking dick in that special, and he's kind of a dick in all 3 specials. Yeah, no, Jimmy Neutron to me is a show that I think I remember actually in 2018, when I was in a depressive slump for like 3 months, I went back and rewatched the entire show in like 2 weeks. And because I hadn't watched Jimmy Neutron in probably a decade by that point. And I just remember going back to it. I'm like, this holds up a lot better than I thought it would. I was very afraid it was just going to be okay. Like, there are annoying parts to Jimmy Neutron. Like, I think sometimes the characters can be too stupid. Or I think Jimmy's kind of a dick also. Comparable, like with Timmy, I think Jimmy is also comparably an asshole to a degree. Though I'd say Jimmy is a better character than Timmy. Because I also think Jimmy is a funnier character.
Yeah.
On top of, I think the ensemble of Jimmy Neutron is much funnier than most of the characters in Fairly Odd Parents. I was like, I don't know. I just think Jimmy Neutron's a really fun show. I think Jimmy Neutron works better because it also knew when to fucking end. Unlike Fairly Odd Parents.
I just love the silly humor that it has. Like, it has its silly humor, and
Jimmy Neutron's
weird.
Jimmy Neutron is much more silly in comparison to Fairly Odd Parents, which, I mean, makes sense. Yeah. It was made by the guy who made those Thumb movies.
Yeah, Steve Odekirk.
Yeah.
I love Steve Odekirk.
Oh, I love Steve. I tried to get him for an interview, but his email led to a dead link. So yeah. I can't get a hold of him.
It would have been nice to hear him say wee wee again.
Alan Strange, I never watched. Just Jordan, I never watched. Oh, that's Kablam. I never watched Just Jordan. Kablam is fucking great. That's like an A for me. I think Kablam held up shockingly well. Though I think Kablam works because it's just a series of random shorts.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kablam, I just felt like was one of the most creative things Nickelodeon had done, especially during that time, because they had Oh Yeah cartoons and things like that, but I think Kablam was much more experimental, because I think, I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but I think Kablam was also just an excuse for a lot of backdoor pilots that never got picked up to be shown, because they showed a lot of unique animation on that show. And again, I think a lot of it was pilots that never got picked up for full series, so they just dumped them on Kablam. But I don't know. I think Kablam was just a really, really fun show. And I hate that show... It's not a case of I hate that there's no DVD. I hate that there can't be a DVD for Kablam. Because I remember the creator of the show had confirmed, because I think someone had asked him a few years ago if there would ever be a DVD, and he said a DVD for Kablam would basically be impossible because you'd have to go through so many different, like, rights holders because of the amount of shorts and different, like, studios worked on the animation.
Yeah.
I think they'd said that you would have to go through like multiple, like would take years to go through all the rights to even get a DVD for Kablam, and at that point it wouldn't even be worth it. So I think the creator of the show has like all the episodes on his website, actually, from what I remember. I think he just dumped them all online.
So in a way, you could just watch.
Well, yeah, because it's not like they're ever going to be legally uploaded anywhere anyway. They can't be on streaming unless they're heavily butchered down, and you can't release it on DVD without it taking years to get the rights. It's a show where you don't really have a choice you don't really have a choice outside of piracy. Let's see.
Seeing how HBO Max has taken down so many shows and all this stuff, it's like.
Well, yeah, that, and also.
Might as well.
That's the thing, is, I mean, there's been a lot of creators lately who have just been saying just pirate their shows because they're never going to get a DVD release, or they're never going to be put on streaming.
The creator of Infinity Train was like, fuck it, have all the shows. Like, have all the episodes.
Well, yeah, no, he just, I remember he even had in his Twitter bio at one point, like, just pirate the show, or something like that.
Yeah.
Camp Coral I never watched. Camp of Mikey's pretty good. I haven't watched it in a while, but from what I have seen when I did last watch it, I think it holds up pretty well. I do like the aesthetic of it, though. I think Kappa Mikey would have worked better if it wasn't flash animated, because with a lot of the anime aesthetic that it has, I feel like the show would have worked a lot better if it had a higher budget. Not Avatar high, but if the show was more traditionally animated, I think the show would have worked. I think the concept of the show would have been a lot funnier if it had better animation. Though, as it stands, I don't know. Kappa Mikey's one of those things where I do really like that it has gotten the cult following that it has. Kenan and Kel, that's I'll put that in A. I'd say Kenan and Kel is one of the best live-action shows that Nickelodeon made. But, I mean, it's and also it's Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell, and I think those two guys are fucking fantastic whenever they're put together in anything. So, don't know what that is.
Funny folks.
I don't care for the Kung Fu Panda cartoon, which upsets me because I think Kung Fu Panda could have worked really well as a show, and I have never liked any of the Kung Fu Panda shows. Korra, I'm between B and A with Korra. I'll put it at a low A. I think Korra is not. I remember when me and my buddy Chris watched Korra, we both had the same opinion. It is a very good show. It's not as good as Avatar, but that was basically an impossible order to follow. I do not think you were going to get a show that would be better than Avatar, but again, I don't know if you could do a follow-up that's better than Avatar. But at the same time, I think for what we got, I think Korra is the best follow-up we could have had. Again, it's not as good as Avatar, but I think it's a really good show. It's as good as I think you could have made it. Legends of the Hidden Temple, I never watched. Making Fiends, I barely remember. I never watched Martin Mystery, I never watched that. I never watched that. I never watched that. Mighty B is, I'll put it a low B, ironically. It's a lot like, I think in terms of its energy, I think it's very similar to CatScratch, where I think it has a lot of the same kind of charm that CatScratch had, though I don't think it's as funny. Also, the Mighty B is one of the most weirdly well-animated shows Nickelodeon ever made. Go back to any clip of that show. It is super fluid. It's very, very weird that show is one of the most well-animated things Nickelodeon ever made. Teenage Robot is A, teetering on S.
Hell yeah.
Teenage Robot, that's one. It's one of my favorite art styles in any show ever. I really wish Rob Renzetti
It had a very I don't know if this is the right word for it, but it had a very Art Deco style.
It's very much inspired by that World of Tomorrow aesthetic from the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, okay.
It's very much that kind of look. And I really wish Rob Renzetti would lead another show, because I really want to see another show with that kind of art style. Like, that's one of the best action comedies I think Nickelodeon made. It's such a fun concept. I love the main cast. I think Janice Kawai as Jenny is like one of my favorite performances from Nickelodeon. I think she's so likable in that role, and she's very funny. I hate that she hasn't really gotten a role like that since. I think that's one of her only lead roles she's ever had in a show. Now she's doing primarily a lot of anime. But
yeah.
There's that. I love the villains. Eartha Kitt as Vexus is fucking fantastic. It's like she let off right after Emperor's New Groove and basically plays a similar character, but if she actually had superpowers. And I don't know. It's just a very, very fun show. It's funny. I like the action scenes. I love the art style. It's just a very fun show. The Monster vs. Alien show is an F. I fucking hate that show.
That was fast.
It's a perfect follow-up to the movie. I fucking hate the movie. I fucking hate the show. So, and hot take, Mr. Meaty is going an A. I fucking love Mr. Meaty. I am probably one of the only people that loves Mr. Meaty as much as I do.
It was a weird show, but it's like,
it's fucking hysterical.
You guys are pussies. Come on.
It's fucking hysterical. I love that show. I still go back to that show every so often. I just watched a couple episodes 2 days ago. I love that show so much. Like, it's gross out, but it's not gross out that annoys me. I think it's honestly very weirdly creative with a lot of its humor. I love how just unapologetically mean it is and how off the wall stupid it gets. It's so fucking funny to me. I love that show. Like, and again, of all the Nickelodeon shows, Mr. Meaty is the one show that makes me the most angry it doesn't have a DVD. Like, of all the shows that don't have DVDs for Nickelodeon, that is like the one show. Because Mr. Meaty is kind of a show that's weirdly hard to find fully online. There are a couple websites I've found that have archived all the episodes, but like it's really hard to find it reliably on some websites, because I've gone to some places that only have like half of it, or they have like all the shorts and maybe like 12 episodes. And that's kind of my one thing. I'm like, put it on streaming. Like, put it on DVD or put it on streaming. Like, I don't care if nobody watches on Paramount Plus. I will be the one fucking person that watches it on Paramount Plus. It's like, I fucking love Mr. Meaty, and I really wish people would give it a second chance. I never watched that. I remember the Naked Brothers Band, but I never watched it. I find it really weird that now both of those
Naked Brothers Band.
I find it really weird that now both of those kids are like really well, like in a lot of movies now. Like both the main actors on that show are now like leads in a lot of movies. One of the kids was the main guy in Hereditary. And I know the older brother was the lead in the fucking Netflix Death Note remake.
Oh, really?
No, it's Nat Wolff and Alex Wolff, and now both of them are like in a lot of shit. I remember when Fault in Our Stars came out, I saw a couple clips of it, and I was like, is that fucking one of the kids from the Naked Brothers Band? He's like one of the friends in that movie, and I was like, holy shit. And then, like, from then on, like, both of them were in a lot of movies. I think the younger brother was the lead in both of those new Jumanji films.
Oh, yeah.
Ned's Declassified is an A, teetering on an S. I fucking love Ned's Declassified. I binged 2 seasons of it 4 months ago, because when they put it on Netflix, I immediately watched it because I fucking love that show, and there's almost been no DVD releases of it. Ned's Declassified to me is the closest live action show that I've ever seen to being like a cartoon, which makes a lot of sense because Scott Fellows made it.
Like, it gives me, it's like, I don't know if it feels a lot similar to like Malcolm in the Middle a little bit.
It's Malcolm in the Middle, but it's less serious than Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, it's less serious. It's just very zany.
Yeah, no, and again, I actually the three leads on that show have a podcast they started not too long ago, and I've been watching that. And they've been like slowly going through the series, like talking about every episode, and it's really interesting. I think it's literally called like Ned's Declassified Podcast Survival Guide or something like that.
Yeah, it's like how to
and it's
survive.
Cookie and Mose and Ned, like it's all three of the actors just sitting at a round table just talking about the episode, like each episode of the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really good. They have a YouTube channel. Let's see. I never watched that.
Would you want to interview them? Would you want to?
I'd talk to one of them. I'd probably talk to Devin Werkheiser more than any of them because he was the lead. Honestly, I think this is a hot take. I never liked Penguins of Madagascar. I'm putting that in D. I don't know. It never clicked with me. Every time I ever watched it, there was just something about it that I never really found that entertaining. I don't know. That's like the one, because I feel like Madagascar in concept could work well as a show. I thought that King Julian show was pretty okay from what I watched, but Penguins of Madagascar I just never really cared for. Even though there are things about it I do find funny. I don't consider. Was Pinky and the Brain a Nickelodeon show? I always thought that was a Fox Kids show. Maybe it was on Nickelodeon at some point. Let me check in another window. Pinky and the Brain. I always thought of that as like a Fox Kids or like Kids WB. Yeah, Kids WB. Yeah, I don't want to count that. Planet Sheen is F. That's legitimately one of the worst. That's genuinely one of the worst animated shows I've ever seen. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Again, Power Rangers is Fox Kids. I don't count that. I never saw the Rabbids show. Ren and Stimpy, despite the creator, Ren and Stimpy is a great fucking show. I love Ren and Stimpy a lot. And I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid, which is one of the few shows I wasn't allowed to watch that I actually think makes sense. Because, Jesus Christ, I still am blown away at the amount of shit they were able to get away with on that show, even back then. I don't know. Ren and Stimpy to me is just one of those things where, one, it's one of the best animated shows, like traditional animated shows ever made, in my opinion. Like, holy shit. Like, anytime I see any episode of that show, I am blown away by the fluidity of the animation of it. And it's constant. There's never much inconsistency with the animation on that show, at least for the first 2 seasons. You know, I'd say that's a B. Rise of the TMNT is an A.
Yep.
Rise of the TMNT is fucking awesome. I hate the Ninja Turtles fan base so much. At least the old school fans, because it's one of those things where every time a new show comes out, they shit on it repeatedly. And Rise is one of the ones that I think got it the worst, which really upsets me because, Jesus, that is like one of the best Ninja Turtle shows ever made. Like, it's not my favorite, but it's definitely my second favorite. Like I've said with some of the other shows on here, Rise's animation is better than it has any fucking reason to be, especially for something like this. And I fucking love Ninja Turtles, but this is like the one thing. 2012 is my favorite Ninja Turtles show, but in terms of animation and action, Rise is the best one. Like, it's not even a contest. Like, I don't know. It has
Shredder fight.
It's funny, it's charming, it has fucking amazing action. I really like it. Also, the movie's fucking amazing. Holy shit. The movie has, like, one of the best fight scenes I've seen in any animated film. Like, genuine contender for, like, top 5. Like,
I saw the work in progress storyboard version of the fight with Krang, and Oh my god, dude! They put so much thought into just the combat alone, and that's amazing. Just, holy crap!
Let me see.
I still need to watch it. That's a thing though. I still need to watch it. I just haven't been really I haven't been getting attached to a lot of shows.
That's Robot and Monster. I never watched. Rocket Power is F. That show's dog shit. Rocket Power, like, even as a kid, I really didn't like that show. I mean, one, I don't give a shit about sports or skateboarding or anything like that, but watching it as an adult, it is the most try-hard, like, 90s edge show. Like, it's trying so hard to be cool, and it is so fucking annoying because of that. Rocko is S. Like with Camp Lazlo yesterday, Rocko is one of those things where it's so fucking funny. It's so creative, especially for the time it came out. Because I have seen some people compare it at the time that it came out to Ren and Stimpy. Stylistically, they're two very different shows. I'd say, honestly, even comedic-wise, they're very different. They both have gross out, but I'd say Rocko relies a lot more on just nonsense comparative to some of the shit that's on Ren and Stimpy. And also, it has one of the best ensembles of any show Nickelodeon has ever made. And God, I love that finale movie so much. That Netflix movie. That is a comfort movie to me. The Static Cling. I was so excited when that finally came out because they kept fucking delaying it, and I was getting so annoyed that it was delayed for, like, I think almost 2 years from the announcement trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Never watched that. Rugrats is, again, like I said very early on when we were talking about All Grown Up, it's like a solid C. It's not bad. I don't think it holds up that great, though, especially the later seasons, which I honestly think are just dog shit. I don't know. There is charm to it. I think there is a lot of charm to certain elements of Rugrats, but I think the show comes off a little more annoying sometimes to me than charming, even though I do think it's an okay show. The Rugrats reboot I never watched Preschool Days, but to be fair, nobody fucking watched that.
Well, yeah, Preschool Days only had like
Preschool Days. I don't even think fully aired. I think it aired maybe like 3 or 4 episodes, and then it got canceled. Salute Your Shorts was before. I don't think that was even in syndication anymore when I was a kid. Sam and Cat I never watched. Sanjay and Craig never watched. Never watched that. Never watched that. Never watched that. SpongeBob is an S. And I don't think I need to explain why. So,
well, it depends on like the season as well.
Here's the thing. I don't think, like, SpongeBob is one of those things where the legacy is so fucking incredible for SpongeBob that I don't think it's something where even when SpongeBob is at its worst, it doesn't affect the insane quality of the first 4 seasons. Or honestly, I think the recent seasons are fucking great from what I've seen. Like, SpongeBob is one of those things where even at its lowest fucking points, I think the highs are so fucking high that I don't think it impacts it that much. Like, the first 4 seasons alone, if it was just those first 4 seasons, I would say SpongeBob is one of the greatest cartoons ever made. And I do stand by, I think it is one of the best shows of the last 25 years. Like, easily. Never seen that. Attack of the Power of Juju. It's fine. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say about Tack. It's fine. I don't think it's as bad as some other people say it is, but I don't think it's that amazing either. But I also never played the game, so I don't have any connection to that.
It was like, it just started out as a video game. That's how I was introduced.
Well, yeah, it was like, I think it was like 4 games, like 3 or 4 games, something like that.
There was one where you could play as Patrick Warburton's character.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember when the show came out, because Patrick Warburton actually came back for the show. And at the time, I didn't know Patrick Warburton was actually in the games. I actually thought that was like a studio thing. I thought they were like, oh, we need like one celebrity recognizable voice. Let's put Patrick Warburton in. It wasn't until like years later I found out like, oh, no, he always played that character. I thought that was just like a thing that was for the show. Because I know that show weirdly recast a lot of characters. Amanda Show is a B. I'd
Amanda,
say
please.
Of the sketch shows, Amanda Show is my favorite. Amanda Show, I think, was the funniest, and I think had the most cartoony shit in it compared to all that.
Mm-hmm.
Loud House, from what I've seen, I'll put it in B. Apparently, it's dog shit now. I remember I stuck with it for like the first season when it came out, and I remember really liking the first season. I thought it was a really fun idea, and I liked the ensemble. All I know now is that I think the last like 4 or 5 years, everyone's been saying the show has been dog shit.
And the fandom's been dog shit.
Blech. I'm not talking about the fucking fandom.
We're not talking about
doing
the fandom.
that. Thundermans never saw. Troop, no. The X's I barely watched, and I don't know if I'd like it or not. I'm not into spy shit, so I don't know if I would like it or not. I just remember the art style being really cool. 2012 Ninja Turtles, that's S. That's my favorite Ninja Turtle show and like one of my favorite action shows ever made. It's funny because I don't see that show get brought up as much the last like few years, ever since Rise came out. I don't see that show get brought up, and it makes me sad because it's one of the longest running Ninja Turtle shows, and it's really fucking good. Like, the whole show. It never loses its quality throughout the entire thing. And it's a complete story. It's a whole heavily story-driven Ninja Turtles show. It's not super heavily episodic. Let's see. I never watched True Jackson. Tough Puppy's a D. It's got parts I like to it, but I'd say it annoys me a lot more than I like it.
Catspaw, though.
Unfabulous, I barely remember. I never watched Victorious. I don't know what that is. I never watched Welcome to the Wayne. Wild Thornberrys is a C. It's okay. I feel like if I really committed and went back to watching a lot of it, I might like it more, but I remember rewatching it a few years ago, at least a few episodes, thinking it was okay. I really like the movie, though. I think the movie's a lot of fun. I never watched Winx. Never watched that. Never watched that. Never watched that. Never watched that.
Wait, Nickelodeon was Winx?
Yeah, Winx. Winx has been on like 3 different stations. I think Winx was like on Foxbox at one point, and then it moved to Nickelodeon, and I think Nickelodeon has had the rights to it for a while.
And then, well, I saw it on 4Kids because I was always like, I had to, because I hated watching the Winx Club because it's like I wanted to watch.
It was that kind of thing you saw. I'm like, girly shit.
Yeah, it's like get out of here. I want to see like Rouge the Bat and
what
that loud ass fucking saxophone. Yeah, no, because I was.
That wouldn't have been on Nick. That would have been on
mind.
Foxbox if it was Sonic X.
No, 4Kids.
Well, Foxbox and then became 4Kids, but yeah, no.
Same difference, yeah.
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 I think that's. I want to say. I'm wondering if they're forgetting something because I have all the shows listed and I feel like they're forgetting something. No, I think that's everything.
That's everything?
Yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's pretty much every major Nickelodeon show. And again, there's a very large gap of things. Primarily things for the last like 10 years because I didn't watch Nickelodeon much the last like decade outside of a couple things. So I'd say this has a lot more didn't watch than the Cartoon Network one. But I think that also can't be helped because, again, there was just a lot of shit that I didn't pay attention to nearly as much as Cartoon Network. Like, a lot of the live-action shit, especially the last 10 years, never cared, never watched. That was just kind of my thing. Yeah. So there's that. I'll save that. Open that. Save that image. Let me see here. Where should I save that? I'll put that in that folder, and I'll post that to Twitter in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm gonna... Now let's see if I can do like one of those bracket fights. I actually didn't plan for a bracket fight. I mean, I planned for a bracket fight, but I didn't have anything prepared because I didn't want this to drag out to be 2 hours long, which thankfully it didn't. Because yesterday, the fucking Cartoon Network one dragged out to like almost 2 hours in length. Which is funny because I actually think there were more shows on this one than there were on the Cartoon Network one. But let's see. Let's see. Cartoon brackets templates. Let's see here. I am going to see if I can find at least something Nickelodeon related, as long as it's not a show. Or at least not like what we just did. Let's see. Cartoon template. I wonder if they have Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon on here. Let's see. Let's see. Nick versus Cartoon Network. Let's see. Nick versus Cartoon Network versus Disney. Cartoon Network versus Disney. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I already did this one. Yeah, let's shuffle it. There we go.
Hey.
Let's say there we go. I'll shuffle it again. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. There we go. Matchup mode. Matchup mode. Matchup mode, goddammit. What if I do that? It was Zim versus Code Lyoko. Zim. That's not a comparable. Regular show or As Told by Ginger. I never really watched As Told by Ginger, so I can't even really fairly judge that. Danny Phantom or Powerpuff Girls? I'm gonna go Danny Phantom with that one. I do really like Powerpuff Girls, but I'd say I like Danny Phantom a bit more. Teen Titans or Chowder? Teen Titans. Dexter's Lab or Billy and Mandy. I think Billy and Mandy is one of the funniest things Cartoon Network ever made. So that one. Oh boy, Rocket Power All Grown Up. Which shit show do I like more?
You could take a shortcut.
Oh god. Oh, I don't even know. I don't even fucking know with this. I don't like either one, but I don't know which one I like less. I guess I'll pick All Grown Up. Because again, they both annoy me, but I'd say Rocket Power annoys me more. Foster's Home or Ben 10? Foster's. Foster's is a big comfort show for me. Laszlo or Teenage Robot? Shit. I'll say Laszlo. Again, Laszlo's another big comfort show for me and is also one of the funniest shows ever made.
Oh, yeah.
Zim, a regular show, Zim. Danny Phantom or Teen Titans, Teen Titans. Billy and Mandy. Foster's or Camp Laszlo. Zim. Billy and Mandy. Those are like two of the funniest Cartoon Network shows to me. I really have to think with that one. Bertha.
Hello.
Hello, I am doing a Nick versus Cartoon Network bracket. We just finished the Nickelodeon tier list.
I see.
Billy and Mandy or Laszlo? I really don't know. This one's really getting at me. This is the one I think I've had to think the hardest about because I think those are like the two funniest shows Cartoon Network ever made. I'll say barely Camp Lazlo. But no, Zim out of all those is my absolute favorite. Now, what's on the other side? Beavers or Kids Next Door, Angry Beavers, Courage or Avatar. Ah! I hate knocking Courage out that early. Oh, I hate knocking Courage out that early. Avatar, Rugrats or Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odd Parents. Ed, Ed and Eddie or SpongeBob, SpongeBob, Samurai Jack or ChalkZone. That's just fucking murder. Straight up. Wild Thornberrys or CatDog, CatDog, Gumball or Johnny Bravo, Johnny Bravo. Jimmy Neutron or Hey Arnold, Hey Arnold. Avatar. Anything that goes up against Avatar is just going to get fucking murdered here. SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob, Samurai Jack. I never had to think about Hey Arnold and Johnny Bravo back to back. I've never had to think about both those shows back to back. I really have to think here. I'll say Hey Arnold. I think Hey Arnold. Avatar, SpongeBob. As much as I fucking love SpongeBob, again, Avatar. Samurai Jack or Hey Arnold, Samurai Jack. This is the only one where I think it's pretty neck and neck here. Avatar or Samurai Jack. I say Avatar wins just based on how I didn't really care for the last season of Samurai Jack. It's funny, Invader Zim and Avatar, whenever I have like ranked Nickelodeon shows personally, these are always literally back to back with each other. Even on favorite animated shows. But Zim still wins to me. As much as Avatar is one of the best action shows ever made, Zim is literally the funniest show ever made, in my opinion, in terms of animation. Let's see, is there any other Nick or Cartoon Network related thing? Let's see. It's mostly Cartoon Network. You know, it is mostly Cartoon Network here. Let's see. Best cartoon movies based on shows. Ooh, that could be fun. Let's see. Teen Titans, the Teen Titans movie. SpongeBob, the second SpongeBob movie, the Rugrats. The Rugrats movie really doesn't hold up. I mean, even as a kid, I don't remember caring for it. Let's see. Destination Imagination is way better than Atlantis SquarePantis. The Powerpuff Girls movie is way better than Truth is Square. Wrath of the Spider Queen. Operation Zero. I have not seen the regular show movie, so I actually don't know. Sponge on the Run, Teen Titans Go movie is so much better than Sponge on the Run. I don't even remember this Kids Next Door special. Sponge Out of Water. I really like Sponge Out of Water a lot. Powerpuff Girls movie. Wrath of the Spider Queen.
I'm looking.
I'll say that.
So,
I say I prefer that. But I like when the Killing Joke becomes the Killing Joke. I just really hate the first act of that movie. Let's see. Powerpuff or Sponge Out of Water. Sponge Out of Water. That. Teen Titans Go. Sponge Out of Water. The Wild Thornberrys movie or SpongeBob. I said earlier I really like the Wild Thornberrys movie, but I'd say the SpongeBob movie is like one of the best TV show movies. Barnyard is okay, but the Steven Universe movie is a way better movie. Billy and Mandy Save Christmas or Zombie Island. Billy and Mandy. Zombie Island is okay to me. I never thought it was that great. Underfist over this first Foster's Home episode. Underfist. Oh boy, two specials in movies I don't like. Cyber Chase or Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. I'm gonna say Cyber Chase because at least it has things that entertain me. Oh my god, fucking another Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, but at least we have an actual good movie next to it. Enter the Florpus is fucking amazing. I fucking love it. Jesus Christ, they put all the fucking Jimmy Timmy Power Hours in here? Also, why does it just say Samurai Jack? Is it like the first it just says Samurai Jack. It doesn't say like the first 3 episodes or anything. It just says it's Samurai Jack. I would have picked Samurai Jack over fucking Jimmy Timmy. SpongeBob movie. Ooh, 2 billion Mandys. Underfist. Secret of the Omnitrix. Enter the Florpus. SpongeBob movie. Enter the Florpus. Again, I really like the SpongeBob movie, but I think I might like the Invader Zim movie more. And I'm going with the Zim movie. End of the Florpus is like one of my favorite TV show based movies like ever made. And with that, I think I'm gonna end the stream here. It was about an hour and a half. Thank you for the people that joined. I'm gonna do a Disney movie tier list, I think, on Wednesday. So I'm gonna see if I can find like a Disney show ranking, and I'll probably do a Disney movie ranking too. But again, I'm probably gonna do that Wednesday because tomorrow I have some stuff to do in the afternoon. So thank you for joining, everyone. I hope you have a good day, and goodbye.